A deadlock on charter change as the Senate decides to suspend discussions because of the continuing People's Initiative supported by leaders at the House of Representatives. After agreeing to President Marcos' request for the Senate to lead the review of the 1987 Constitution, senators in a manifesto now unanimously thumbed down the People's Initiative, which they say is a brazen attempt to violate the Constitution and undermine the country's democracy. But House Speaker Martin Romualdez says it is a direct expression of the people's will while denouncing allegations of bribery in persuading citizens to sign the petition. President Marcos gives way to the Commission on Elections to do its job in validating signatures. Good evening, I'm Pia Hontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, Politics as Usual. Our guests for tonight, former House Speaker and now Davao del Norte Representative Pantaleon Bebot Alvarez, Senator J.V. Ejercito, and the Chairman of the Commission on Elections, George Garcia. For this first part of the show, we're going to speak first to Congressman Bebot Alvarez. Kong Bebot, good evening po sa inyo. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Let's begin with this. You wanted federalism during the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte, but not now. Are you saying you don't agree with the People's Initiative and you don't approve either of the Senate taking the lead in discussing amendments as shown in this resolution of both houses, number 6? Rufus Rodriguez is saying now that they can get the job done before the Holy Week break. You're saying all three actions should not proceed.
Hi, Pia. Good evening, and good evening to Chairman George Garcia as well as Senator J.V. Ejercito. That is true, Pia. Talagang hindi ako sakayon na buksan yung amendment ng ating saligang batas ngayon. Dahil iba po yung sitwasyon nung time ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Kung maalala po natin, bumuo pa siya ng Constitutional Commission na pinamunuan ni former Chief Justice Renato Puno. At yung mga miyembro nito ay lahat mapagkakatiwalaan. Nandoon si Attorney Ruben Canoy ng Cagayan de Oro, nandoon si Dean Julay Tihangki, nandoon si Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, at nandoon din si Professor Ed Tayaw. Maganda ang nangyari noon. Yung trabaho ng Constitutional Commission shared with the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. Pinapa-comment nila kung anong dapat na ayusin doon sa trabaho nila.
Kong Bebot, so you are saying, so
Yes.
Kong Bebot, you do not agree categorically. You don't agree with People's Initiative. Yes or no? No.
No.
No. Okay. The Senate taking the lead and the House going in step because of dati nga meron dapat resolution for both houses. Hindi dapat din yon. You're saying that.
Yeah.
So no way. In other words, no way, no matter what.
Mahirap yun, Pia, no? Ang nangyari kasi, pag halimbawa, pumayag yung Senado na mag-convene yung Congress into a Constituent Assembly upang talakayin yung amendment ng ating saligang batas. Ngayon, sinasabi nila, limited lang daw sa mga economic. Provisions. Mahirap pong gawin yan. Hindi tayo pwede magtiwala dyan. Dahil as a lawyer, alam natin, na sa oras na mabuksan yan, mag-convene ang Congress into a Constituent Assembly, then lahat pwede nang buksan yan.
Okay. Kong Bebot, kanina sabi nyo, lahat mapagkakatiwalaan, describing the members of of the CONCOM noong panahon ni President Duterte. Ngayon, you're saying walang mapagkakatiwalaan. Sino, can you please specify, sino yung hindi mapagkakatiwalaan? Who are you referring to?
Dito, Pia, alam naman natin lahat na talagang sumusulong nito yung Speaker of the House of Representatives. Itong si Martin Romualdez.
Okay, so you are saying that siya ang nagsusulong ng People's Initiative, nitong agreement. Although there was that agreement between President Marcos had called that meeting, Senate President Mig Zubiri was there, Speaker Martin Romualdez was there. You're saying si Martin Romualdez ang hindi mo pwedeng mapagkatiwalaan. What about President Marcos and Senate President Zubiri?
Ganito kasi yan. Kailangan transparent. Ilatag nila, anong dapat baguhin natin? Hayaan mo yung Senado, yung House of Representatives, magbigay ng kanilang komentaryo doon sa mga provisions na gusto nilang palitan.
Pero hindi ba nila sinabi yun doon sa resolution for both houses nung diniscuss po yun? Economic provisions related to only three areas?
Wala akong nabasa na ganun. Wala akong nabasa.
Okay. So, why don't you trust Martin Romualdez? What are you afraid of when it comes to Martin Romualdez?
May sariling ambisyon. Gustong maging Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Kaya lang, palagay ko na-realize niya na kahit sa senatorial survey, hindi man siya pumapasok doon sa top 10. Kulelat pa nga eh. Alam mo, Pia, pag tumakbo kang presidente ng Pilipinas, kinakailangan using yung karisma mo. Pero ito, parang karisma nito, parang Supreme Court.
Parang justice ng Supreme Court, ganon. With all due respect to the justices of the Supreme Court.
Parang Supreme Court, hindi justice ng Supreme Court.
Okay.
Parang Supreme Court as an institution.
Okay.
Bakit? Walang appeal.
Okay. So ayaw nyo po ng charter change because you think that Martin Romualdez wants to run for and be president.
Gusto niya kasi, palagay ko, baguhin talaga yan. Yung form of government, mababago dyan. Ngayon, pag yung Senado pumayag dito sa kagustuhan nila na mag-convene into a constituent assembly, sabihin nila, sige, economic provisions lang. Pero sino? Kaya ba nilang mag-object pagdating ng panahon? Sabihin ng House of Representatives, hindi, ito yung gusto naming amendments.
Kong Bebot, when you say baka magbago ang form of government, what are you referring to? From presidential to parliamentary? Is that what you mean?
Pwede mangyari yun. Oo, pwede mangyari.
But that is exactly also what you wanted before, hindi po ba? Hindi po ba yun ang gusto
niyo? Magiging head
ninyo?
ng government, hindi na presidente, no? Prime Minister. At alam natin lahat yung Prime Minister ay pinipili among the members of the Parliament.
Okay. Are you afraid of term extensions na baka masingit po iyon?
Yung term extension, pwedeng isingit yan. Ngayon, tanong ko, sinong ayaw ng term extension? Kung ako, Pia, selfish yung interest ko, talagang sasama ako dyan. Dahil last term ko ngayon as a congressman.
Okay.
Natural. Kung meron term extension, ako ang magbe-benefit noon. Pero hindi dahil hindi ko makonsensya na lukuhin natin yung taong bayan.
Kong Bebot, what will you do about the People's Initiative? Dahil tuloy-tuloy lang po yun Nagsasubmit po sila ng mga signatures sa mga local COMELEC offices. And Chairman George Garcia is talking about a timeline and what he says is COMELEC's ministerial duty once they receive these signatures.
Alam mo, Pia, humaga ako kay Chairman George Garcia, no? Doon sa pronouncement niya, very categorical, na pag itong signatures na to gathered in exchange of money, especially from the government, those signatures may be voided. Yun, nagbibigay ng encouragement sa sambayanan na hindi pa walang pag-asa yung proseso. Kasi pwede mo pang questionin sa COMELEC at questionin din sa kahit saan korte sa ating bansa.
Okay. I have to go to a break and say goodbye to you, Kong Bebot. But before that, very briefly, a short question and a very brief answer from you. If you are against Martin Romualdez, are you going to be, if Sara Duterte runs for president in 2028, are you going to campaign for her?
Yes, definitely.
Congressman Bebot Alvarez, I'll speak to you again soon, hopefully. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. We'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual. Our next guest in this segment of the show, Senator J.V. Ejercito. Senator J.V., thank you very much for being with us tonight. Well, let's begin with this. What do you think happened? The Senate was to take the lead in charter change with this resolution of both houses, and then the House will was supposed to work with you, and that is at least what we were told, no? Na nagka-meeting, andyan si Presidente, si Senate President, si Speaker, yan ang napagkasunduan. Don't tell us the official line. Tell us the story behind the scenes. In other words, like as young people say nowadays, spill.
Well, Pia, when that meeting took place before the Van de Honor in Malacanang, because there was already disagreement between both houses, no? Because the House of Representatives wanted people's initiative, and we in the Senate, Pia, we are not against the amendment to the Constitution, because my own position is that the Constitution was written 40 years ago, and there's really need to amend certain provisions to make it adapt for us to be able to adapt to the changing times. But so to avert this constitutional crisis, possible constitutional crisis, the President called both leaders of both houses in Malacanang. There was argument at first, but in the end, there was an agreement that there will be a resolution of both houses. The Senate will draft the bill on the constitutional amendments on economic provisions, which was done already by Senate President Zubiri, and the House will just adopt it right after. So that was the agreement. But what really happened was, even though we, the Senate, our leader, SP Zubiri, complied, the People's Initiative continued on, and until now, as we speak, we received information that the signature campaign is still ongoing, and what our apprehension is that if it's a genuine People's Initiative, then there's no problem with that. But as you can see, Pia, it's in exchange, they're gathering signatures in exchange for AIX, TUPAD, and other assistance from government. So it's not really a people's initiative, and if I may borrow the words of my colleague Senator Bato de la Rosa, it's a politician's initiative, Pia.
A different kind of PI, huh? Okay. Itong yung RBH, what you had in mind was not a constituent assembly, but like you said, no? So the Senate comes up with amendments, parang mag-agree na lang ang House, kaya nga resolution lang. So hindi CONAS talaga. But at the same time, yung People's Initiative kasi, what you're doing is you're calling out, you're denouncing pirma for this People's Initiative that they're doing. Pero ang sinasabi nila ngayon, hinahad lang daw ninyo ang people's will, that you are stopping, you are blocking the people's will. What do you say to that?
Well, as I mentioned, if it's really a genuine people's initiative, it's people's will, then we have no problem with that. No, that's whatever. We have to give, of course, the people of the Philippines, the country, they have the final say. But it, again, as I mentioned earlier, it comes with the strings attached. So they are scared. For poor people, ordinary people, they will sign anything for the ayuda, for the assistance from government, and that's what we are against. And also, it's also specific in that PIRMA that the Constituent Assembly will convene and as one, and will be voting as one jointly. And Pia, that's why in our democratic constitution we are really bicameral system in nature, because to provide that checks and balances. Because Pia, I was also a member of the House of Representatives, and my constituent is my district. No, the Senate is elected nationally, and our mandate was given by the Filipino people. So our perspective, likewise, is national in nature. So we convene as one, it will disrupt the system that was written by the framers of our constitution to have a bicameral system, so that there will always be the checks and balances. One will provide for the parochial concern, for the districts, and one also for the national
Yes. Okay. Oh, well,
interests.
Sen JV, are you saying that itong People's Initiative is fake and that you don't trust Pirma but you trust yourselves? Is that what you're saying?
No, yeah, because as I mentioned, there's information that we have received, numerous
Yes.
already have reported that in exchange for, as I mentioned,
Yes,
time
yes,
and
like
again,
you said.
that in exchange for the assistance and other things that people can get from government is the signature.
Yes, I heard
no?
you say that
For
earlier
this,
po, Sen. So what I'm asking is, so that means you don't trust Pirma because nga, dahil nga, like you said, maraming mga reports na merong kapalit. So you don't trust them, but you trust yourselves.
Well, just want to also be clear, no, that we are not fighting for our survival. No, we are fighting for the constitution, the government, because once we open, if indeed if they just followed what was agreed upon, with na talagang economic provisions lang, no, as agreed upon, then they would have stopped already the people's
Okay.
initiative. So that means the intention is really to open everything, specifically the political provisions, and with the end in view of changing the form of government. Ang tanong ko lang, Pia, is the Filipino people ready to have a form of government that would take away their rights to choose their leader, especially their president or the
Yeah.
leader of their
So,
land, which is very sacred to the
No,
people.
no direct voting. Kumbaga, no one voter, one vote, one voter. But Sen JV, just one last question. I'm running out of time, but this is really interesting to me. No, why a statement from the Senate? Although of course it's very interesting because all 24 of you, no, very rarely will you get your two opposition senators to join you guys, no, in one statement. Pero statement, bakit statement? Bakit hindi resolution or, you know, something? Why? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah, it's not only the Senate as an institution which is under threat. We feel that our democratic institution is under threat, no, with this move with the where the people's initiative. That's why, as you mentioned, Pia, majority and the minority, all 24 senators are in unison, crossing party lines, signing this resolution. So we are together because this does not anymore concern the survival of the institution, but it's really the threat to democratic process.
Sen JV, just more clarification on this. It's a statement that you signed, not a resolution. Why a statement? Why not a resolution?
Well, it's a message that we want to send as a body, that all of us will be crossing party lines as mentioned, because we will not allow our democratic system, our institution, to be what you call this, to be trampled upon.
Yeah.
No? It's
Couldn't
not
that
really
have
our
been-
survival.
Wouldn't the message have been stronger kung Senate resolution ang napirmahan ninyo?
Well, it's a call of the Senate President and the leadership,
Okay.
so we just have to support it. And again, it's very rare, as you mentioned, Pia, that the minority and the majority and everyone, all senators, no, signed this manifesto.
Okay, and you haven't heard from Malacanang or President Marcos on what's going to happen next because sinantabi nyo na itong RHB, you're not going to work on this habang tuloy-tuloy ang pirma. Wala pa kayong balita from Malacanang? Nothing?
Actually, Pia, just to clarify, the RBH, the bill that was filed by the Senate President, the amendment on economic provisions, is already scheduled, supposedly. But what we really are lamenting is that, you know, the House did not comply because, as I mentioned, the signature campaign is still continuing as we speak.
All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Senator J.V. Ejercito. Thank you, sir, for joining us. More from our one last remaining guest, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, when we return. This is Politics as Usual. You're still in Politics as Usual. Our third and final guest for tonight, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia. Chairman Garcia, maraming salamat for joining us. Thank you for being with us tonight. Let's begin with this. Can you just outline for us very quickly, and I'm really glad because you talk so fast, but very clear, kwetos claros talaga. Ano po yung ministerial duty ng COMELEC when it comes to these signatures that are being submitted to your local offices?
Thank you very much, Ma'am Pia. Una po yung pag-receive ng mga signatures. We cannot refuse, we cannot decline because under the rules, yung rules na binabanggit ko po, COMELEC Resolution 10650, that we have no choice but to receive these signatures. Again, we would like to clarify that when we receive the signatures, these are mere scrap of papers in the meantime. Wala po itong gamit, wala po itong value whatsoever. We will just receive this just like an ordinary letter or communication coming from anybody that would like to write something to the Commission on Election. So, no choice po kami but to receive these signatures. This will have value, Ma'am Pia, if these signature forms will be used later on in a petition to be filed before the COMELEC. So, until and unless a petition is filed, we will just receive these signature forms and we cannot decline.
Okay, receiving at this point and only when there is a petition filed, that is when you can start verifying the signatures. Yun po ba, sir? Is that the process?
Yes, ma'am. Once a petition is filed before the COMELEC, we will still first determine whether the petition is sufficient in form and substance. Meaning, we will definitely have a checklist. And based on our checklist, we'll look into the petition. We'll look into whether, in substance, whether the provision of the Constitution that they wanted to change or amend is very clear. And at the same time, titignan din po namin, Ma'am Pia, talaga bang alam ng mga mamamayan yung kanilang pinirmahan? We will inquire into that because that should be, we should be satisfied as to the substance, as to whether indeed, when the people signed the forms, they really understood the implication of this signing the document. And then only after that, if in case the COMELEC is satisfied that the petition is sufficient in form and substance, then and only then can we order our local COMELEC to verify the signatures that are in their possession or in our local offices.
Can anyone at this time, anybody at this time, stop COMELEC from doing its job?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. We are using, and although I'm not supposed to tell, but I have been telling this in all my interviews, we have been using a guidelines which was promulgated in accordance with Republic Act 6735. Some are saying that there is no law that will allow people's initiative. Some are saying that even the Supreme Court in the case of Santiago versus COMELEC had said that 6735 is not the law to amend the Constitution. But however, there is now a conflicting interpretation as regards a subsequent decision of the Supreme Court in the case of Lambino versus COMELEC. That, Ma'am Pia, is a legal issue. And at the same time, they can likewise question the validity, the due execution, and whether our resolution guiding us in this people's initiative is right or wrong. Somebody can go to a higher court so that they can prevent the COMELEC from actually doing what we are presently doing, though it is a ministerial duty only.
Okay, so anybody can go to the Supreme Court at this point, and if the High Court will say, mag-TRO ang High Court, magsabi na, teka muna, wag muna kayong gagalaw, hindi na kayo gagalaw. That's the end of it, kumbaga. That is the end of
yes,
pirma. Is that what's going to happen?
Yes, definitely we will abide and follow whatever the Supreme Court will tell us. If the Supreme Court say, wag nang tatanggap mula ngayon, we will not receive anymore any signature. At this point, we have 192 districts more or less that, based on our data, more or less 192 districts na po yung nag-file ng mga signatures sa aming mga local offices and almost 1,032 municipalities and cities. Again, we have 253 legislative districts in the entire country.
142 out of 253 districts, and you need 3% of total voters of every legislative district. You have 1,032 cities and municipalities. You need 12% of total voter count. But I just wanted to go back to yung sinasabi ninyo kanina, yung Supreme Court, no? Halimbawa, sabihin ng TRO, ng Supreme Court, kung may mag-file, tapos mag-TRO sila, at the very least, they can delay this, and at the very most, they can stop this completely in its tracks. Ganun po ba?
Yes, ma'am. When the Supreme Court issue a TRO, take note, and this is for the information of everybody, it's unlimited. There's no period on the TRO of the Supreme Court, unless the Supreme Court will, by itself will say our TRO will last only for this period. But without such a statement, the TRO of the Supreme Court is unlimited until the decision is made or is promulgated as regards to the merits of the case. Now, as regards the merits of the case, the Supreme Court can say, well, the petition is right. There is grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction on the part of the Commission on Election when it promulgated the resolution. At the same time, there's really no law, and therefore, all people's initiative should put into rest at this point because there is no law. The Supreme Court can do that. That is what we are saying. At this point, we cannot do anything. There is 6735. There is COMELEC Resolution 10650. The COMELEC is duty-bound to observe and implement the law as well as our COMELEC resolution. Okay.
Chairman Garcia, I have 1 minute left, actually 30 seconds left. No? And my last question, very brief and hopefully a very brief answer from you also. Earlier today, you were quoted as saying na, in so many words, na if the timeline is followed, ang estimate po ninyo is baka ang plebiscite dito would be sometime 2026, no? Because nga may elections in 2025 and then basta we have several considerations. So baka 2026. But if the Supreme Court stops this even momentarily, this could go on until 2027 or 2028. By that time, we have national elections or even beyond.
O baka Ma'am Pia, tapos ng term ko, wala pang plebiscito whatsoever. Simply because again, the TRO of the Supreme Court in that case is unlimited.
Okay, and your term ends when? Please remind us.
2029, Ma'am Pia.
2029. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, sir, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Pia. Maraming salamat din po.
We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show, your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. You're back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Sports Desk with Andre Felix is next.